Okay, I've done my sneak peek, and now I'm going to read The Legend of Spookley, the Square Pumpkin. The Legend of Spookley, the Square Pumpkin, written by Joe Toriano, illustrated by Susan Banta. One day in the pumpkin patch, the strangest little pumpkin hatched. Spookley wasn't like his friends. Where they had curves, he had ends. Spookley was different. He was odd. He was rare. Spookley the pumpkin wasn't round. He was square. Oh, I see right away which one Spookley is. He's the square one. While the round pumpkins had fun rolling along, poor Spookley sat there, shaped all wrong. He tried and tried with all his might, but he couldn't budge. He just sat tight. The other pumpkins teased him because he was square. Spookley wished he was round and could roll everywhere. Oh, that makes me sad for Spookley. Look at him. He looks like he's very sad. I don't think the other pumpkins they're either not being very kind or they don't realize how they're making Spookley feel. Okay, let's see what happens. That is, until one night when they all discovered it's fine to be round when the weather is fair, but there are times it's better to be a square. Halloween was just a day away when a mighty storm blew across the bay. It tossed the round pumpkins to and fro. It snapped their vines, then off they'd go, bouncing left, slamming right, banging, bashing. What a sight! Spookley sat there filled with fright, but glad to be a square that night. Oh, I get it. Spookley's not rolling because he's not round, so when the wind is blowing and the storm is causing all the other round pumpkins to roll, he's not rolling because he's square. It is a good thing for him to be square on that night. Suddenly, the fence gave way. 3 pumpkins rolled out and into the bay. Spookley knew what must be done. It was up to him. He was the one. He teetered. He tottered. He tipped. He tried. And finally flipped. He was on his side. Again he tipped. Again he flopped. Again he flipped. And then he stopped. Right in the gap where the fence had snapped. He blocked the way. The hole was capped. All the pumpkins shouted, "Hooray! Spookley the Square Pumpkin had saved the day." Then a pumpkin hit him with a whack. He thought his shell would start to crack. Then another hit him with a thump, and another one with a smack. Then one by one, a ton of pumpkins piled on the stack, with a bang and a bash and a crunch and a crash, and then it all went black. Look, Spookley is on the bottom of that big pumpkin pile. At dawn, when the storm had stopped, the farmer came out and checked his crop. He picked his pumpkins up one by one and laid them out in the warm, dry sun. And when the last was moved away, the farmer could see what had saved the day. An odd-shaped pumpkin, short and dense, was wedged against the broken fence. Its shell was bruised, its stem was too, but there was brave little Spookley sitting straight and strong and true. Right then and there, the farmer knew. Of all the seeds he'd ever sown, Spookley's were the most special that had ever grown. Boys and girls, when a farmer sows seeds, that's just another way to say that he's planting seeds. So when the author says, of all the seeds he'd ever sown, he's just saying, of all the seeds he's ever planted. And the next year, when it was time to sow, he sowed those seeds in every row. He watered and weeded and watched them grow. And oh, that morning about mid-June, when the pumpkin patch began to bloom, there were tiny pumpkins everywhere, hundreds and hundreds, most of them square. Oh, do you see what the farmer did? He planted the seeds that were inside Spookley. And so all the pumpkins that he grew the next year were square. Let's see what it says on this page with the barn. But, some were cubes and some were rectangular, some were flat and others triangular. There was a bed of bright red ones and 2 rows of blue. There were polka dot pumpkins and rainbow ones too. There were thousands of colors and hundreds of shapes. Oh, what a garden variety makes. Variety is just a word that means there's lots of choices, like lots of different kinds. And so this pumpkin crop was a lot of different shapes and colors of pumpkins, not just the usual kind. Now, every year on Halloween, Spookley's patch is quite a scene. People come from far and near to see what wonders grew that year. They stop, they gawk, they gaze, they stare. Then they pick a pumpkin that's round, triangular, or perfectly square. Now you know the story of how Spookley grew. Maybe someday you'll tell someone too, and they'll go tell someone who'll go tell another, and maybe one day we will all discover you can't judge a book or a pumpkin by its cover. Oh, I really like that story, and I like the meaning behind it, that you really don't know who somebody is by what they look like on the outside. What a great message the author had for us.